Hello there, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for being with me today. I hope you're well. We're back in Planet Zoo today and we're in Volcano Bay. This is our sort of epic over-the-top zoo, billionaire's playground is how I describe it. So in our last episode we did this pretty epic grey seal habitat in the volcano area here with our big old fancy viewing platform up here and our seals swimming around inside the volcano down here with the underwater viewing areas on each side there, and they're all being used, which is nice. We have people, see, people standing around in here watching the seals. I mean, that would be quite a view, wouldn't it? Very cool. Yeah, so very happy with how that turned out. Actually, let's just check down in the tunnel, make sure people are coming in here. Yes, they are. Look at that, loads of people standing in our little tunnel area watching the seals. Exactly what I wanted. It just looks great, doesn't it? Very, very pleased with how this one turned out. So on to today, and we are coming over to another area of the zoo over here. As you can see, I've already got started here. So this is going to be a saltwater crocodile habitat. So my basic thinking was here, you already had the hole in the ground that I filled up with water, and I've coloured the water a bit brown as well. I thought that would make sense. It wouldn't be crystal clear water. I wanted to do sort of some very low walkways over the water so that you can get really down and up close with the crocodiles as they swim around underneath you. I wanted a central area here because I wanted to put some sort of building in the middle, and then just have a few little walkways around the outside. And I also wanted a viewing area raised with a restaurant or cafe. So that will be built up here, and I had a bit of a funky idea of what I wanted to do with that. Connected it down here, as you can see, with sort of quite a twisting staircase on each side. So, which I thought looked good. I liked how these turned out, but obviously it did give me an awful lot of work to do around them to try and get all these gaps filled in and looking good. In the end, I think this habitat turned out absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't show it to you if I wasn't happy with the results, of course. But yeah, so that's kind of where I started. I wanted an interesting looking building up here for the restaurant, but I also wanted the main pathway out here. I had the idea of doing something around this side here, whether it was a viewing area similar to the hippopotamus one down here with a building, or just a walkway. I wasn't too sure at the start. It ends up being a walkway. I did contemplate the idea of a building, and in fact I did copy this building here and put it up here, and it just didn't quite look right. So in the end that becomes a walkway. Yeah, there we go. So that's our basic plan, and this was my very start of the layout to try and get it figured out to see what I could fit in. So let's move on, and I think probably it's the barriers and the animals that actually go in next, but we'll find out. So let me load up the next save point. Right, we have a few crocodiles in now. Obviously there's no barriers, but they're not going to escape because I have the escape mechanism turned off. So we have a few animals. Their traversable area is good. They can go everywhere. In fact, at the moment they can go in too many places because they can actually come right up onto the steps here and get up onto the walkways, which obviously I don't want. So yeah, so I have put in a bridge here connecting to this main pathway outside. I did that because at the moment, the way it was originally, people had to walk all the way around, up these stairs, past the restaurant, down this side to get to this, and I just thought that was too much. So I wanted to put in this extra walkway here, but I also didn't want to block the passage for the crocodiles, so I made it into a bridge so the crocodiles can pass underneath it, which I thought looked kind of cool as well. Gave me the opportunity to create some sort of a bridge structure as well. A couple of dead trees in the water here, and I have decorated underwater as well. So very simple foliage here. This is the arrowwood bush, some ferns, some fallen trees in the water here as well, just creating a pretty simple underwater atmosphere here. You can see the crocodiles have got a good depth to swim in, so they're happy with it all. And it means that from the top you can still see quite easily the crocodiles swimming around underneath you there as well. Still more to do with the water, but that was my basics that I started with, and I did this mostly with a sort of a template with these things. I just copied them around and filled up the whole area. So that was all pretty straightforward stuff, just getting some basic structures in place. But the bit that I've really had fun with was up here. Now this is quirky. Basically, this was my initial idea for the entire project, was that I wanted a restaurant with a big mouth out the front where you walk through the mouth and enter the door into the restaurant. And obviously crocodiles lent themselves to being a big mouth. So I created this, and I'm really happy with how this has turned out. So to create this, I've used the moss rocks, and it's these dynamic moss ones of various different shapes and sizes. These large ones, these are really big flat ones, they make up the main core of the shape of this top bit of the mouth, and then just smaller ones, these pointed ones, just angled in different ways to try and create what's obviously meant to look like the top lips of a crocodile. And then I've used these small ones, these little snow rocks, as teeth. So again, it's just the same one, just protruding slightly less or more as they go backwards in the mouth. And then obviously it's angled upwards, and then all I did was copy that and duplicate it down underneath here, flatten it out to make it look like the bottom jaw. Let me know what you think. I know it's cheesy, but that was the look I was going for. But I really like it, and obviously once I built the building behind it, it looks much better because it all sort of blends in a bit more. So yeah, I had fun, and I just love this sort of thing, this sort of creativity in this game of being able to do stuff like this. You know, it's a bit silly, but it's fun, and that's why we play these games, isn't it? To have fun and be creative, and there's nothing more creative than trying to create a crocodile mouth out of rocks. And I think it's worked out really nicely, actually. I'm very pleased with how that looks. Now the restaurant itself, obviously you can see how I've got a couple of food places, a drink place, and a set of toilets. I'm not going to do an interior, and I won't do many interiors in the zoo. I'm not good at interiors, and I find them a bit pointless as well. I'm much more interested in getting the outside of buildings looking good. And the problem with that is, if you use glass in your building, you kind of have to then do an interior because you can see it. Whereas with this one, the idea was that this would all be hidden, and I would just build a shell of a building around it. So that's what I do, and it looks really cool. I really like the result. But yeah, so that was my basic thing. Now I built the entire structure based on having this big crocodile mouth at the front. So there we go. That took me a while to do, I'll be honest. It was a bit tricky, but I got there in the end. And I think it's okay. I think it stands out quite nicely from back here. You could see it, and kind of, you know, it grabs your eye a bit, and you'd think, oh, hello, that's interesting. It's a giant crocodile mouth up there. So yeah, it's quirky. It's a bit different, and I love it. So there we go. Right, let's move on, shall we, and find out what I got up to next. Right, so a little bit of rock work done. So this side, like I said, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do along this side, but I knew that it needed to be a nice sort of secure barrier, because obviously the angle of the land, in real life, the crocodiles would have been able to climb up and out. So I came up with the idea of doing this. So these are just basic log pieces made into a little sort of stepped platform area, and this is purely so that the crocodiles realistically would not be able to get out there. It needs to be a nice sheer cliff face there for the crocodiles to not even attempt to try and climb out. And then obviously the rocks, because if you do rocks, you've always got the potential of an animal trying to climb on the rocks. So I wanted this to look like it was purposely built specifically so the animals could not even attempt to get out there. Because I wanted a natural barrier here. I didn't want to just put a big wall in. I wanted it to look quite nice. And I think it does. I think having the rocks, the contrast of the rocks at the top, and then this obviously artificial barrier here, I think it does look really nice, actually. And that continues around to here. This is still a work in progress. I wasn't too sure what I was doing, but I was expecting that I would probably put rocks around here and blend it all together. So at the moment, obviously it just stops there. And then at this end, Again, I've just used these rocks, and I did the rocks again with this, where you just create a blueprint like this, and then you just copy it and paste it, you turn it, you sink it in different ways over and over again, and you end up creating this really nice natural looking rock formation. So yeah, so the animals can't even attempt to get up any of this, which is good. One or two rocks at this end as well, just a couple here, just a few coming out here and over here, and there's going to be a whole load more over here as well. But I did this because I wanted to create these little beach areas. So you can see I've painted the terrain here, so you've got this sort of sandy area here and here, almost creating like a beach for them, and then they come up and the rest of this is all painted with dirt. I think it looks really nice, and as you can see, the animals do use them and come up and down on their beaches. So yeah, that's cool. So that kind of finished off that area. Obviously this side all the way along here is the main viewing area for the public as they walk along this main walkway. So I had to come up with a different barrier here, which would keep people safe but also allow them to watch the animals. So that was the next challenge, I think. And then I had to come up with an idea of what to create in this big gap here, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Inevitably, when you've got this sort of thing leading into water, it's going to be a waterfall, so that's what I wanted to build in there. So that becomes quite a big project in itself. But yeah, I was really just thinking about the barriers at the moment. Getting that side all finished off just left me with this area here. So I think this is probably what I did next, was the fencing around here, but I'm not so sure. I really can't remember. Oh yes, and also I've just put these huge logs in as the support struts for the pathways here. Obviously they would just be big concrete pillars, and then this would be like a fake wooden surround to make it look nice. So there we go, so that's that as well. Right, let's move on and see if it was these barriers that I did next. Right, yes, it was these barriers that I did next. So this is what I did. I created a small blueprint here. So really simple this. It's, what is it? You've got a beam at the bottom. You have a couple of posts up the sides. Not that I can select them. The wooden posts, basic wooden posts. And then just a simple glass panel there. And I angled it as well, thinking it kind of made sense to have it leaning away from the viewers here, the customers. It would discourage people from leaning over it, I think. Or I suppose logically, if it was leaning the other way, it would discourage people. But anyway, I wanted it at an angle. I just thought, you know, I'm trying to do different things, and just having a straight barrier is a little bit generic. So I've made the whole thing lean, and I just think it makes it look a bit nicer anyway. And it would certainly discourage the crocodiles on this side from trying to sort of rear up and come over the top or whatever. I don't know realistically if that could be done with crocodiles on that side, because people could just leap over and get eaten. So probably not, but again, it's a game, we can get away with it. And I think it looks really nice. So that's what I've done. So you've got the barrier there. I then used rocks here to finish off this area at the bottom of the steps up on the bridge. And then the barriers again around here. You've then got your entrance area, which I built this small sort of wooden log roll thing. This changes because I didn't like this at all when I built it. I just hated it. So this changes, so you can ignore that. And then the barrier continues all the way around this side here, just snaking around, and then eventually it joins up to this rock formation here, which grows a lot. This all gets filled in with rocks eventually. But I'm really liking this barrier. I think it looks really good actually. It's a bit tricky manoeuvring it all around here, getting all the angles right, getting it all to actually join together. So it's quite time consuming, but well worth it. And it's a whole new barrier. I've not done anything quite like that before. So yeah, I think it looks really nice. And obviously I wanted it so you could see through it. So if the crocodiles were lying right up against it here, you would be able to see them. So there we go. That's our barrier. I've also added the barriers onto all these pathways. I don't think that was there in the last cut. Don't know why I didn't do it in the first place. I was never going to do custom fencing around all of this. That would be way too complicated to do. So I was always going to use the in-game fencing for this. I just don't think I'd got round to actually adding it on, but I have now. So all of these staircases and up here, it's all done with the in-game path fencing now as well. So yeah, there we go. Not too much in this cut. I just wanted to show you that barrier because I was pretty proud of it actually. I think it looks really good. It's well worth the time it took to do it. Oh, I've also built the bridge there as well. So a really simple support this. I didn't want to do anything too fancy. I certainly didn't want to fill it in because I wanted the animals to be able to walk underneath it. So just use these big wooden beams to create a nice solid looking support structure there. Again, just playing with the angles rather than doing straight stuff because it just looks too boring if you do everything at a straight angle. So just playing around with all of these little cross beams here, and I just think that looks really nice. Just looks nice and strong and sturdy and safe, doesn't it? So that's that as well. Cool, right, let's move on, shall we? Okay, I have been busy building a waterfall and I'm really happy with how this looks. The in-game water can be a pain to use, but when it works and you get it right, it looks fantastic. And I think I got it right here. I really do. I'm so pleased with how this looks. So the first thing I did was just build up a basic bit of rock work here. Mostly using these giant rocks along the back here, and then just filling in all the gaps down the side here, making this look really nice and sturdy and solid, sort of as a base for this this walkway to go up. And the same over on this side as well, just building this up layer after layer of rocks, filling in all the gaps, just getting it all looking really good and sturdy. And then along the back here you've just got all these nice big rocks. I didn't want to do too many small rocks on this. I think it looks really nice having them all just sticking out at different amounts and different angles. Really makes it look like the water is kind of flowing down in between them. And then along the top here I've got this this bit of fencing. So this is like a rustic wall, really simple, put along the bottom of the viewing platform there. And then you've also got the vent here. So this is just the simple Planet Zoo vents, just copied and pasted all the way along there, and it just makes it look like a proper artificial water spout or whatever you want to call it. So the water basically is being pumped out through this vent. That's the idea. There'll be various sort of pumps and things underneath all of this viewing platform here. I think it looks great. I really do. I think this looks really good. I did toy with the idea of having rocks along here and making it look more natural, but actually I think realistically they wouldn't even attempt that. They would just have a nice solid looking wall there with the vents, because it would all need to be accessible for cleaning and maintenance. So I think that's quite a realistic look actually for how they would do this sort of thing. So you've got the water effects coming down here. So this is I think it's the medium or the middle of the waterfall segment. So it's just one effect that goes all the way down to the floor here, and then there's a load of the splashing bottom of the waterfall effects along the bottom here, make it look like the water is actually coming down into the lake as well. Little bit of splash under the water too, which is all good. But yeah, the height of the waterfall piece here was perfect for what I needed. And obviously there's more to do with that, because I do put foliage and stuff around it later on. In fact, that's one of the very last things that I do. But just as the basic waterfall goes, I am very pleased with how that turned out. Looks very cool indeed. I think that's all I did in this particular cut. Again, it was quite time consuming, that bit, but you can kind of see the whole thing coming together now. Starting to look like a proper habitat, isn't it? Certainly not as epic as the previous build, the big grey seal volcano, but in its own way this is a big habitat, and there's a lot going on, lots of intricate stuff. So yeah, it's kind of epic in its own way, isn't it? And there's still a lot to do. I've still got the building to do in the middle here. I've still got the restaurant to do up here, the cafe as it becomes, the Crocodile Cafe, and a whole load of foliage. There's also another entire pathway that goes in above this rock formation here. So there's still tons more to do. So well, let's press on. Let's load up the next save point. Right, done a bit of work on this middle area here. Oh look, it's got a giant crocodile swimming down underneath here. I'll tell you one thing I really wish they would do in the game is put in glass floors I think that would be amazing if you could do glass flooring here so people could walk on it and see down through it. I think that would be an amazing addition to the game. Really simple for them to do as well, just change the graphics. So you could make a glass path so people could be sitting here and there could be crocodiles swimming right underneath them. I think that would be very cool. But anyway, so this is what I've been doing in the middle. So it's a very basic building structure here, just using in-game pieces. Nothing complicated about that. Didn't want to customize all that. No need. Really, really basic wall and ceilings there. What I wanted to do though was decorate it nicely, and been a bit creative in the middle here as well. So I've changed the path texture for this bottom area so that it kind of stands out. And then I didn't want to put a facility in here because that kind of, it only points in one direction and it really limits you with what you can build around it as well. It forces you to make a box essentially, which I didn't want to do. So I've just done a ring or a square of different vending machines here. Obviously there's a gap here for a bin to go on this corner here, but I think that works really nicely actually, just having them arrayed around in a square like that, giving people lots of different options of food. Obviously there's a bit of a gap at the top, so I wanted to just do something a bit different. So I just came in here and I built like a little trellis around the top here, which you can't really see, but you can see it's kind of buried in there. So you've got a trellis design and then some of this wisteria just all the way around the top here, and some of the arrowwood bush as well, just adding a bit of extra foliage. And I think that looks kind of cool. I mean, if you were sort of walking in here, you'd look up and see all the lovely wisteria flowers here. I think you'd be pretty impressed with all that. So that worked out really nicely. And then outside I've got a few benches. So what I've done, I've blocked off bits of path. So you've got these two walkways blocked off on each side with benches there and there. But obviously I couldn't do that on all four sides or no one would be able to walk in. So on these sides you've got the benches out here, and it creates this kind of snake pattern of a walkway. So people can come in here and they can go that way, or they can snake around this way or that way, or they can come along the back here. So yeah, just keeps it looking sort of fresh and different, doesn't it? And then I wanted obviously some foliage, so I created a couple of blueprints here with some basic plants. You've got the lipstick palm, which are these tall ones. These are fantastic. I absolutely love them. Then you've got a big, I think this is a date palm. Yes, oh no, tree fern, sorry. And I've sunk the tree fern right down into the ground here. In fact, it does poke out the bottom. But you know, that's life. Yeah, so that's it, because I just love the foliage, but I wanted it low down. I didn't want it to be too high. And that's all that's in there, really simple and basic. And then I've just copied that on all four corners and turned it around each way, so that it's not all poking into the building there. And then I've done the same here as well, just created another little flower pot design, just with a really basic couple of plants. You've got the lobster claw there, and then you've got the African daisy there on top of a little flower pot. And again, that's just copied and pasted onto all four sides of the building like that. So yeah, I like it. It's a simple design, really quite straightforward. Didn't take me too long to do all of that, but it's nice. It gives people a destination in the middle of the habitat where they can come in here, get some food and drink. They can shelter if it's raining, or they can sit out on the benches. There's going to be more benches all around these pathways as well, so they could grab some food here and come and sit out here and look over the edges and watch the crocodiles swimming around just below them. Which is very cool. I want to visit this place in real life. It'd be awesome, wouldn't it? I'd love it. I'd love to walk around this sort of thing where you can get really close to the crocodiles. It might be a little bit scary because you could just reach down and dip your hand in the water and get it bitten off. But you know, I keep saying it. It's a game. We can get away with it. There's our little crocodile having a good swim around. The animation on these is really good actually. It's very realistic, and I love that they act like the crocodiles do in real life, where sometimes they just sit still for hours on end and do nothing, and then at other times they get these bursts of energy and they go and do some stuff. So yeah, it's very cool, very 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 realistic. I really like it. Okay, right, so that is our little middle area done. I haven't done lighting yet. That happens towards the end. But yeah, pretty pleased with how that one turned out. So let's crack on and see what I got up to next. Right, so I've just done a little bit of work out on the land area of the habitat. So as you can see, I have changed the entrance because I really didn't like what I'd done before. So created this little canopy. I thought it kind of made sense to have something that covered the sort of the entrance bit here and went a little way into the habitat as well. So, you know, if the keepers came in and it was raining, they'd have a little area here where they could stay under cover and chuck the food out or whatever. And then the barriers, just simple planks of wood here, just creating this this sort of side barrier here, and then just a couple of little angled pieces there as well, a couple of upright logs and a light at either end, just to provide a bit of illumination. And then you've got a couple of media boards here for the what are they called? Customers? No. People, visitors. That's the word I'm looking for. My God, my memory. Honestly, it's not just the memory; it's the brain. It's the whole brain. It doesn't work. Yes, for the visitors to have a read up here about the animals as well. So that's our little entrance area. I'm much happier with this version of it. The other one just looked awful. So yeah, much happier with that. And I wanted to put in a couple of shelters. So we have two of these big round shelters here. Again, these are very simple, just created with the same technique where you have your central column. In fact, you can kind of see how I did it with this. You create the beam, sort of. You create one bit of beam. So this piece and this piece. You then duplicate it. You copy it around 180 degrees, so it's over here. Usually what I would do is match it right to the end, but actually I thought in this case I matched it a little bit further across so that it created a sort of a cross pattern. And then when you copy that around, you create this cool little pattern of wood at the top here, which works really nicely. Then you just fill in the gaps here. And in this case I wanted to use these planks, and I wasn't fussed about sort of perfecting it and putting sideways planks down here to fill these little gaps. It really doesn't matter. This isn't really a shelter for rain. It's more of a sort of a sun and shade issue, because obviously they're crocodiles. They don't care about rain. So I wasn't too fussed about filling in the little gaps. So I'll just use these logs, try to mix it up, turn them around and make them look good. And then you just copy it and paste that all the way around, and you end up with this. And then obviously I just put one of these big logs, these giant Planet Zoo logs, just upturned in the middle here and sunk right down into the ground. And there you go, that's our shelter. Really simple. Also put a few lights underneath, and you can see our little crocodiles come in here, they lie down and get some shade. So really simple. There's two of them in there with bedding underneath as well. And then I've also put some enrichment items down and around. So we have a couple of mud baths. We've got one here, and we've got one in this gap over here. We have some, what do we have? We have a sprinkler, a little scent bowl thing there. We have a feeding station there, a blood pumpkin there, a little frozen block, a rubbing pad, a scent thing. What is this? A scent sack there. I think there's a football somewhere as well, but I think they've probably kicked that into the water. Maybe. Don't know. I'm sure there's a football somewhere. Where's the football gone? I'm intrigued. Oh, there's the football under there. There we go. Someone's been playing with it because it's meant to be over here. So someone has clearly been playing football, which is cool. Oh, look, he's having a run around, isn't he? Is he going to play football? He is. Look at him. Hey, good timing. They do like their big football. Is he going to do it again? Yes, he is. Look at that. It's really clever. I love this interaction. I really do. Is he going to push it in the water? You're going to push it in the water? What are you doing? Actually, it's a woman, isn't it? Oh no, she's bored now. She wants to go swimming. Although it is rolling, it could end up in the water. No, I don't think it's going to make it. Anyway, she got bored. She's gone swimming. Cool. I love it. Brilliant. So there we go. So yeah. So not too much done in this cut. Just the entrance, the enrichment, and the two little shelters. But it's coming together, isn't it? This downstairs area here. Obviously still lots more to do, lots of foliage still to do, but I leave that till the end. But yeah, obviously we've still got the restaurant to do up here, and then the big walkway that I do around the top here as well. So plenty more still to see. So I won't delay any further. I will move on to the next segment. Oh, look, we've got people. So yeah, the people have come over here. Originally, I had to just delete the pathway here, or put down some staff path to stop people coming over, because they were getting scared because there were no barriers up. But now that all the barriers are in place, I've opened it back up again. So you can see all the people coming along. They are using their bridge. They're coming down and walking around on here. And it's good that, as you can see, they do actually walk around these bits as well. Even though there's nothing to do there, they obviously do come out here and actually walk around, which is really good to see. And they use it obviously to cut through and come up here to the restaurant. And talking of the restaurant, this is what I'm working on now. And this is what I'm up to so far. So this is all, again, it's all very custom. So these are all these non-grid pieces. I'm trying to get away from grid pieces on buildings. Now I appreciate I'm also trying to get away from square buildings because it's just a bit boring, but this, unfortunately, this one does end up being fairly square. I may change something at some point, but yeah, I was kind of making it up as I went along, and I wasn't too sure what I was doing, I'll be honest. My inspiration only stretched so far as the mouth at the front. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with the building, so I was just building and seeing where it ended up, and in the end I think it looks really nice. But yeah, there we go. Anyway, so you've got various different types of wood. So you've got this lovely dark brown wood. You then got the bamboo that I've put along the bottom. Then upstairs you've got this slightly posher, I think this is Australian wood, isn't it? Yeah, the Australian wood pieces making the upper floor. You've then got these windows that I've mashed together here, a couple of African windows to make one large one. And then downstairs you've got these more modern ones. I've also used these strips of wood here to separate the two areas. And again, you've got this sort of forced perspective thing that you do on these buildings, where you have the upstairs floor isn't as tall as the downstairs floor, and it creates that impression of a bit more perspective. What you're meant to do as well actually is make the upstairs windows smaller as well, but I haven't done that here. I just liked the look of these of these windows. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not 100% happy with this building. I may come back and make some changes to it at some point, but you know, that's the fun of this game. If you're not happy with something, you just go back and make changes. Nothing has to be perfect straight away. So I'm not gonna cry over it. It is what it is, and in the end, I do think it looks good. So you know, wait till the end, and then you can judge me. Doors, I use these lovely big ornate doors. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The doors and windows are lacking in this game. There's definitely not enough variety of them. But I went with this. You know, saltwater crocodiles. I think they're Asian saltwater crocodiles. I think they certainly are found in Asia, and so I can get away with using a nice Asian looking door here. I think that looks pretty cool there as the main entrance, and then you've got the side one here as well, which is an Indian door, but I think it looks pretty cool. So if you look inside, I've just done this, so you've got the access to the food there. I've managed to separate this bit off. Unfortunately, I wanted this outside area here. I wanted a little side sort of seating area here. So I connected it around the front here with a little connection pathway, and then I used the grid to create this, but there was no way of stopping it going through this wall here, unfortunately. So you may get people walking sort of through this wall a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. From the outside, it looks like they've got a door there to use. And again, it obviously is connected inside here as well, and then just filling in the gap at this side here with the big rock formation there. So yeah, that's coming together, isn't it? It's starting to look like a building. Loads more to do on that, and obviously that is where I'm heading next. Just lots and lots of work on that. So that will be the next cut as well. So let me, oh yes, and I've also added in benches and bins around here. Look at all our people out here looking at the crocodiles. It's great, isn't it? Lots of people just hanging around. Very, very cool. Look, they all need the loo. Go to the loo then. I am proper busting for the toilet. Well, there's one just over there, so you know you've got no excuses. Don't wet yourself. Oh dear, these people, what are they like? Right, let's move on, shall we? Okay, so the restaurant is coming together. Next thing I did was create a roof. So this is just using these logs. This took ages because obviously I just created a template and copied them sideways and upwards, which wasn't a problem, but they look really generic because they're all got the same patterns on. So I had to go along and randomly turn every single post in this whole roof just to split the patterning up so that it didn't look really repetitive. And in the end I think it looks really good, but my word, that took me a long time because you have to select every single one, go into this menu here and turn it a little bit. So it's, yeah, very, very time consuming, but yeah, worth it in the end. I like it as a custom roof. I think it looks pretty cool. Obviously that meant I had to create some end pieces here. So again, this is planks of wood creating the main frame here, and then I just wanted something a bit different here. So again, it's got some trellis there with some different coloured planks behind it. You've got more of the Australian wood, in fact, I think, just behind it there. Yeah, you've got these taller pieces there behind. Yeah, I think it looks good. And then I think I did exactly the same at this end. Yes, I did. And at this end, I've got this lovely wisteria growing up the wall here, just to decorate that end a little bit, and a little custom flower pot at the bottom, again just made up with some little wooden posts and some of these larger Arctic posts as the corners, and then some extra flowers, just some African daisies in the bottom there as well. So that looks cool. The seating area here, as you can see, is kind of done. It's surrounded by some rock work again. Always do rock work like this because it makes everything look really solid, doesn't it? And the rocks can continue all the way around the back of the building here, and then they blend into this end of the staircase over here as well. And then I've gone with the metal benches and a couple of canopies, so nice and simple there. Out the front here, I've got a couple more benches. There's quite a bit of space here, so I wanted some benches out the front. And then I just made a little canopy here with one of these sun sheets and a couple of wooden beams just sticking out from the building there, just creating a bit of shade. And then on this corner, I don't know why, I just felt like there would be a big tree kind of half growing out of the building on this corner here, and so I found something that looked about right. I didn't want any foliage low down because I didn't want to block the view here of the building. I wanted it all nice and open as well, like for if you're sitting in this area here, I wanted you to be able to see out. I didn't want foliage low down. So yeah, so I found it. What is this one? I can't even remember what this is. Why can't I select it? Okay, not sure what's going on there. There we go. An Aleppo pine tree. There we go. That's what it is. Ah, that's why it's not part of the building. It's just on its own. Cool. So that's that. Actually, did I put two? Yeah, look, there's two in here. Yeah, there's two Aleppo pine trees on top of each other. I've turned it so you've got two trees blended together there, sort of to make it look like one. I think it works okay. You know, you end up with these sort of the stems kind of branching apart and then coming together again, but I think looking at a distance, I think it's okay. And I think I did that just because one, if I just delete that one, yeah, it didn't look thick enough, you know, the foliage didn't quite look thick enough, so just by doubling that up, it just creates a slightly more full looking tree. It's a very simple technique, but it's very effective. So there we go. That's pretty much done for the restaurant, actually. I do a sign, so that comes up onto the roof. That was one of the last things that I did, and obviously there's still more foliage to be done all the way around the back as well to try and sort of blend it in a bit. I think probably the next thing that I did though was the pathway, because at this point I still was experimenting with the idea of having a building around this side somehow, but in the end I decided to do a pathway. So that's probably where I go next, but let's load it up and find out. Right, we have our walkway in place. Pretty simple walkway this, using the same wooden texture as the rest of the area, and it just comes here. I really wanted to keep it low, so I've hugged it against the rocks, made it interesting, kind of, you know, kept it curved, just following the shape of the terrain, just looping all around here. And the idea of this is, you know, for those people who might be a bit scared to get this close to the crocodiles coming down here, you know, not everyone wants to be that close to a animal that could kill you. So yeah, I was thinking it'd be nice to have this walkway up here for people who want to just have a look at them, but from a distance. So so it comes around here, and then it just raises up around this corner, and then it comes up here and it links into the restaurant up here as well. So it's also an alternate route up and down from the restaurant there as well. And then again around the outside I've gone with some basic foliage, so just found a nice selection of plants, and I did what I usually do. I created myself a little blueprint like this, and you can see I've just copied and pasted it around here. The usual technique, I know I repeat myself a lot, but it's a simple technique, but it's really effective. I mean, it doesn't look repetitive. It looks like you've just got a repeated pattern of the same plants, you know, all the way along here. And then all you need to do is just dot some other things all around it as well, and it just helps to break it up. And then you know, you've got areas like this where I've just placed plants in individually as well. But yeah, it's a very quick and effective way of filling in all these gaps, is just by creating these blueprints and sinking them in, turning them around, you know, creating different perspectives on them. I think it looks really nice, this whole walkway. Actually, I love this. I love the look of it all blended in with the foliage and the rocks along here. A little bit of detailing obviously still to do with some lights and some benches as well. But yeah, I think it looks really nice. It really finished off this side. You know, this side, to me, it looked a bit unfinished. Now obviously this side is unfinished, but it's meant to be until I decide what is being built next door. There's no point in me doing anything around here, but this side here I really wanted it to look a bit more finished. So that's that. And what I've also done up here, as you will see, is create a small sign of the Crocodile Cafe. So this is really simple. This was all just using in-game sign pieces. So it's the most basic thing you can imagine, but it does what it needs to do. It tells you the name of the place. It just creates a bit of color. It grabs your eye. It's big enough that you could see it from all the way back here. So as you walk into the area, if you've got good eyesight, at least you can quite easily see that it says Crocodile Cafe up there. And then that is, oh excuse me, just supported with a couple of posts here and sunk down into the roof. So yeah, very simple and effective for that. So that's cool. I can't remember what else there is, but I've still got a couple more save points. So I guess foliage, because I do a whole load of tree planting all the way around the back here. I haven't done any foliage inside the habitat yet either, and around the waterfall. So yeah, quite a lot of foliage still to be seen. So I'm not sure if there's one or possibly two more save points. But let's... oh yes, I suspect there's two, because I think we've got one with foliage and then one with lighting. But either way, let me load up the next one and we'll take a look. Well, as you can see, I have been busy with foliage. It's looking a lot more complete now, isn't it? It's amazing the difference the foliage makes. So let's start with the land area of the habitat itself. So just some basic bushes put into here, a couple of little trees as well. These little, what's that, a manzanita bush. Looks more like a little tree to me, but you get the idea. I wanted to do a few bushes around these mud areas because they're not very nice looking pieces, are they really? But I get bored of putting rocks around them to blend them in all the time. I mean, I don't mind that they have the little wooden surrounds because that's actually realistic. But it's nice to just have a bit of foliage around them, isn't it? Bit of foliage on the rock work here as well. Just bits and pieces dotted around, a couple of little trees here and there. Really just keeping it minimal, random, you know, no sort of patterns or anything. Just making it look natural. Don't want to block the traversable areas for the crocodiles. Most bushes are okay actually for traversable areas, but trees tend to not be. As you can see with the trees that have gone in the water here, you see the animals can't get right next to them, so you do have to be careful. Speaking of which, the water itself, I didn't want to fill up too much of the water, partly because of the traversable area issue, but also I just really wanted it to remain quite open so you could see the animals pretty easily. And I've gone with these ones. I use these a lot. These are the I don't know how you pronounce that actually. Is it I don't know if it's a hard or a soft C, so it could be Cecropa or it could be Cecropa or Cecropia tree. I don't know. Either way, it's this one, and it wobbles, which is why I like it. I don't know why it makes me laugh every time I see it. It kind of shakes, which is cool, but it also just looks nice and swampy as well. So various versions of that around here, some sunk down lower than others, fairly sparse. I didn't want it to look dense. I wanted you to see through the whole area, particularly the waterfall. I really wanted that to still be seen from over here, kind of through the foliage. I didn't want that too hidden. The sign as well up here, I kind of checked as you walked into the area here. As you come up here, even there you can see the sign, so I wanted to make sure that that sign was visible as much as possible as you walk around here to really grab your attention. Luckily, because it's so high, it does grab your attention. I love all these big trees. I'll get to these in a minute, but I really wanted to add height behind it with these giant trees. These are the giant redwoods, I think. Yeah, the red cedars. I haven't worried too much about theming foliage around here. I've just gone with what I thought looked good. So let's move on to the waterfall. So around here I've got a lot of the tree ferns on the rocks here, because I just love these tree ferns. Now these would, obviously this is a completely artificial waterfall, so I think they would plant it up how they wanted. None of this would be natural, so I've decided they wanted all these tree ferns planted around the waterfall. So there's a whole load of those. There's some various ferns. I put some ivy up on the top here with the grating, and then these other things, these are bits of wisteria here, just the sort of the filler bits of wisteria, and I've just sunk some of these into the cracks. Makes it look like you've just got some foliage and some twigs and things growing in these cracks in the waterfall wall here, and I think that looks really nice actually. Just little splashes of colour here and there. Also got some of my favourite wood panel pieces, the green panels, sunk into some of these cracks, and bits of dead tree down the bottom here, a couple of bushes. Got a nice dead tree sticking out the side of the waterfall there, another nice dead one here, and then I've got one. See, these are, you know, these are my favourite trees. These are umbrella thorn acacia trees, and this particular one, there's 3 different versions, and this one here is the best for this because you can put it into the water and it comes out of the water at just the right height, and it just looks fantastic. Really looks like a nice swampy tree that should be growing in the water. So there's one of those there. I think I put one in this area just here next to the restaurant bit as well. They're quite big, so it's kind of tricky fitting them in, but I think that works really nicely there. Actually, it looks quite good, and you can imagine the crocodiles actually coming right in and swimming in amongst these branches here. I don't think they do because of the traversable area, but in real life they would. So that's that. Again, more tree ferns over this side of the the waterfall. And then just 1 or 2 things dotted in amongst here as well, just to add a bit of height. So you've got things like this little diamond leaf willow bush here. There's a couple of those you see just scattered along here, just mixing it up a bit, just adding a bit of variation into the foliage. And then along the back and at the front here, I just found different trees that I thought suited the area. So you've got a cork oak one here, and here you've got a big an elm tree, sorry, there. A little elm tree here. You've got, I think much the same. Yeah, the different cork oaks, the elms. Just coming around the back here, mixing it up a bit. You've then got a bald cypress tree here. Like I said, you've got these giant red cedars that I just put in because they're just so tall. I just really wanted the height that you get from them. What else? You've got a common ash tree there. So yeah, just finding whatever I thought looked good, basically, all the way around the back there. And that is our foliage. I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. Obviously it's subject to change because there may be other things going on around here eventually, but for now I just wanted a bit of coverage around the back to create a sort of an edge there. I thought that looked good. So that's that for foliage. So the last thing was to add in lights. I had done a few lights actually at this point. I had put some benches and bins and lights along this pathway, but I hadn't done the rest of the area. So what I'll do is load up the last save point and put it to nighttime, and then you'll be able to see the finished effect. And here we are with our final finished crocodile habitat, and I think it's turned out really nice. I'm so pleased with how this looks. Like I said, it's not as epic as the previous episode where I over here I built this crazy volcano habitat, but it was big, it was time consuming, it was complicated, and I think it's worked out really nice. I think it looks really good. I mean, it is over the top because it's a massive exhibit for a few crocodiles to live in, with so many pathways and things. It would be crazy expensive to build this, but I don't know. I think it works. I really like it. I love it. In fact, I'm really chuffed with how this turned out. So the last thing I did was to do a load of lighting. I particularly like what I did up here with I found this light. It's a New World lamp. So I've used that in a few places up the top here, and these ones out the front here, I just made a little flower pot with a little flower display in, just to cover them up. I just wanted to hide the posts a little bit there. So let me put it to night. Now it's subtle. It's not as in your face as some lighting that I've done before. It is subtle, but I think it's all it needs. So the main thing, obviously, I've got the orange light under here because I wanted it to look like little heat lamps under here. As you can see, our crocodiles come and lie down under here. So I wanted to give the impression of these being heat lamps, because crocodiles like the heat, so that would be provided for them. You've got these small lamps. What are these ones? The East Asia lampposts. So those go around this lower walking area here. So again, not providing huge amounts of light, just enough that you can navigate around the pathways. Obviously you've got light from the vending machines in the middle here, so there's no need to do much around there. You've got lampposts on this walkway, so let's walk along here, and you can see it's relatively dark, but you've just got these spots of light, and it's just enough, just creates that nice atmosphere that you can come along here and not be completely engulfed by darkness. Obviously up here, and then you get to the main event, which is the restaurant. So I wanted this to have a bit more light, which is why I put these extra ones out the front. You do get light from the windows, which is good. I also added in one of these little dot lights under the mouth there, and then a few of these little lights around this back area, and again another dot light above the door there. So the restaurant is lit up pretty nicely. Oh yes, I also added one to the sign, one of these little downwards lights up here, just shining down onto the sign. Doesn't add a lot of light, just a little hint at the top there. But the sign is lit up quite well from below anyway. So subtle is how I would describe the lighting in this habitat. Subtle but realistic, I reckon. I did at one point consider putting lights underwater, and that is something that I might come back to. I kind of like the idea of maybe some green lights in the water, or possibly even on the waterfall, because I think that is a little bit dark at the moment. So that's possibly something that I'll come back and do at some point. But yeah, there we go. That is it for now. So what do you think? I really like this habitat. I had a lot of fun building it. Again, it did take me a long time. I was kind of winging it with this one. I had a basic plan, but I didn't really know what I was doing until I did it. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I have a good plan ahead of time, so I know exactly what I'm aiming for. But in this case, I was just kind of making it up as I went along. But I think it's turned out really nice. I'm very pleased with it, actually. So yeah, there we go. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed the episode, please do hit the like button for me. I would really appreciate that. I'm trying to obviously build the channel and get more people in. The more people I get in, the more fun it is for all of us to discuss ideas and whatever. And obviously it makes me happier, and it makes me want to spend more time creating these videos if I know that more people are enjoying them. I mean, I'm not going to stop even if I don't get more people on the channel, but it would be nice, wouldn't it, to build the channel up a bit more. So, and yeah, any help you can give me with that would be great. But just thank you for sticking around and watching my videos. I do really appreciate it. I love making these, and I mean I love playing all these games. So I would be doing it anyway, but sharing it with you guys is just a nice bonus. Right, so I'm going to leave it there. So please do leave any comments if you want to say anything nice or not nice about my habitat. Or my zoo. If you've got any ideas for the zoo, if you've got suggestions of what epic builds you'd like to see, then let me know, and who knows, if I like the idea then I might go ahead with it. But that is going to be it for today, so thank you very much. I appreciate it's been a long episode again, but as you can see there's a lot to get through in this one. Hopefully I will see you again soon. Until then, take care. Bye for now.